WSTKS-FM Worldwide. Digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Week 11 and Episode 150 of the Collaborative Café, a podcast to help students like you navigate IAH209 Horror Cinema with greater success. My name is Professor Schwartz, and in today's program, let's talk about how the members of your learning team can cultivate commitment, trust, and accountability during the final weeks of IAH209 Horror Cinema. With that aim in mind, order a large cup of your favorite caffeinated drink, have a seat across the table in our usual booth by the front window, and join me for a quick look at how to do that. Ready? Here we go. The first way to cultivate greater commitment, trust, and accountability during the final weeks of IAH209 Horror Cinema begins with a brief, structured meeting to review your team's original learning goals and make any necessary adjustments. You can start by once again referring to your list of core team values and team contract developed back in Week 3 when your work together commenced. But your team members should also explicitly discuss your respective expectations for the remainder of the semester. That should include the frequency of your remaining collaborative meetings, individual contributions, and team communication habits. Taking care to address these points clearly and methodically now will reduce the potential for misunderstanding, ensuring that you and your teammates are on the same page. The second way for your learning team to cultivate greater commitment, trust, and accountability during the final weeks of the course involves setting aside time at the beginning of each remaining meeting for a brief personal check-in. Here, encourage members to share highlights from their recent spring break activities, for example, their academic pursuits, or any significant life updates. Starting team meetings like this fosters a sense of community and reminds team members that all of you are more than just collaborators for IAH209 Horror Cinema. Let me play dad for just a moment here and say the following. It should go without saying that all members of your learning team should be present for the practice to work best. Welcome back. Today, we're considering how your learning team can cultivate greater commitment, trust, and accountability during the final weeks of IAH209 Horror Cinema. The third way your learning team can do that is to facilitate ongoing and constructive discussion with each other about your collaborative performance since you began what should be routine teamwork back in Week 3. It's important, however, to take a close and honest look at your internal dynamic and related work habits, identifying areas where your learning team can improve its performance in the time remaining. Besides looking at what your team does well, it is perhaps more important to examine and address any lingering problems. Open, frank, yet civil feedback that emphasizes a growth mindset works best here. Now is an ideal time for the members of your team to collectively review any past challenges and articulate concrete steps you can take together to avoid repeating these same mistakes as you move forward. Another way your team can cultivate greater internal commitment, trust, and accountability is for members to reestablish team expectations for weekly collaboration and review member roles. Outlining responsibilities, deadlines, and communication norms will help your learning team move forward as a more cohesive unit than maybe has been the case up to now. If member roles were not previously determined according to academic strengths and abilities unique to each of your team members, do that now. Why, you might ask? Well, more clearly defined roles and expectations help promote greater accountability and minimize confusion about what is happening, when, and how, as well as which member of your learning team is responsible. Keep in mind, though, that effective collaboration is an ongoing, democratic, and mutually supportive process in which all learning team members are involved from start to finish. If you happen to complete your designated part of a weekly assignment or a team project early, foster goodwill by offering to help your teammates complete their part of the collaboration instead of figuratively putting your feet up on the desk and mentally checking out. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. As a reminder, we've been looking at how your learning team can cultivate greater commitment, trust, and accountability during the final weeks of IAH209 Horror Cinema. Let's jump back into that discussion now. The fifth way that your learning team can do that more effectively is to schedule without delay the specific days and times for your remaining collaborative discussion and the creation of new knowledge. To put that another way, with input from all members of your learning team, determine and block out your collaborative schedule for the remainder of the course this week, week 11, so that your members all have those allotted days and times on their schedules and can prepare accordingly. Taking the time to plot that out is just one more way the members of your learning team can mutually promote engagement and strengthen overall team cohesion during the busiest part of the semester. That same care and attention to detail helps your members avoid the potential for confusion, chaos, and drama within your learning team. Last of all, we come to the sixth way that you can cultivate greater commitment, trust, and accountability during the final weeks of IAH209 Horror Cinema. Together, work to foster a culture of open communication between the members of your learning team. Create a safe and inclusive environment where your learning teammates feel comfortable contributing to your collaborative examination and analysis of remaining course materials. Rather than rush through those meetings to get them done as quickly as possible, however, encourage each other to ask questions, share concerns, and give your undivided attention to each other. In other words, don't be afraid to say something like, "Hang on a moment, I'm not sure I understand our decision behind that approach. Could we talk about it in a bit more detail, please?" That kind of open communication will help your team avoid bumps in the road due to lack of clarity and the related misunderstanding. WSTKS-FM Worldwide. Digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. If you find this podcast helpful, be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Before we wrap up, let's quickly review the 6 ways your members can renew their team commitment, build trust, and cultivate greater accountability during the final weeks of IAH209 Horror Cinema. 1. Review your team's original learning goals and make any necessary adjustments. 2. Foster community at the beginning of each remaining meeting with a quick personal check-in. 3. Facilitate ongoing and constructive discussion with each other about your collaborative performance so far in the course. 4. Reestablish team expectations for weekly collaboration and review member roles. 5. With input from all members of your learning team, determine and block out your collaborative schedule for the remainder of the course. And finally, 6, work together to foster a culture of mutual support and open communication between the members of your learning team. And with that, we come to the end of today's program. Enable and empower yourselves by joining me again in the Collaborative Café for additional tips, tricks, and advice based on my almost 30 years of collaboration with thousands of undergraduates at 3 Big Ten universities, 2 liberal arts schools, and 2 community colleges across the upper Midwest of the United States. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you in class, online, or during Zoom office hours if you drop by with a question. Until then, have a healthy, safe, and productive week. With special regards, from Onyx, the cat what am. So long, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now. You've just heard a podcast from WSTKS-FM Worldwide, digital collaborative learning for the 21st century.